All right, we're live. Hey everybody, Nicole Ayers. Some cool dudes on my team. We got James Webb. He's always behind the scenes doing these live videos and doing a lot of our production at Jaunt Boards. And then Fletcher Greneman, my business partner at Jaunt Boards. He's the brains behind the UX UI of our product. And I've worked with both of them with Jumpsuit, my creative agency, for many years. So these are my guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on International Women's Day. Quite frankly, I forgot that it was today. So it's kind of fun to be able to like show up this morning and have a moment to share my story. So anyway, my goal at this time is just kind of just like give some context to who I am, the path that I was personally on that propelled me to leave the 9-to-5, jump into freelancing, build my own agency, and now build my own tech product to help other people build their own businesses way faster and easier. So that's the goal of this hour together. I'm a pretty open book. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to like ask them in the chat. James can help alert me if there's something there. And if I can't get to it in this time, I'll definitely like respond to you in the comments or in a DM. So yeah, feel free to ask away. Anything that you guys want to say before I hop in?
No? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, cool. So Nicole Ayers, I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, right outside of the city, I guess, on Old Hickory Lake. That's where like Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton, all the stars had some houses, so that's kind of fun. I've never run into them before though, so we're not like friends, but like it's just fun to be here. Originally from Cincinnati, went to Miami University there many years ago. Moved to Nashville about 6 years ago to start my own thing. So that's just kind of want to share a little bit about my journey. I don't know if anyone knows of Miami University. It's like a small school in Ohio. But I was there, I guess it was my junior year. And that's like when I first jumped into entrepreneurship. There was like no independent coffee shop and just a Starbucks in that little small college town. And I just thought that was a travesty. And so I linked arms with a friend and we're like, we're going to build this thing ourselves. We have no idea what we're doing. Like I didn't even drink coffee. I'd never worked at a coffee shop. But I like, quite frankly, just wanted a cool place to hang out. And that was like the moment I realized I really like to build things and jump into the unknown and try to figure stuff out. It's been like 20 years and it's still there. I don't own it anymore, but it's like honestly just one of the things that I'm the most proud of. It's been really cool to see so many generations of college students like be able to, I don't know, like have meaningful experiences there. So
Nicole, I've heard that story so many times, but I'm curious, did you have to build a space? Did you have to like rent a space and then like put up like stuff and then buy a bunch of like, I'm assuming coffee?
Everything. Yeah, it was just like a box, right? Like they call it like just a white wall, right? So first of all, like we had to write a business plan and there were no business plans for free on the internet because I'm like 40 years old, you know? So like we just, but we were both like English majors. So we wrote something and we would sit in Starbucks and we'd like count how many people come to the counter on Wednesdays from like 3 to 6. And then, like we just made everything up, quite frankly. We did our best. And we like, there's this free business plan service in our county. And we showed up like these 2 college students and we like slid this paper across the desk to the white man. And he's like, you guys wrote this? This is pretty good. And he gave us some feedback. Nothing against old white men, but he gave us some, thank you, Emmanuel. He gave us some feedback. And he was like, I think a bank might give you guys some money. Like I'd probably ask for like $100,000. And somehow we convinced a bank to give us money. And and then we had to spend it. So to answer your question, we had to do everything. We had to work with an architect, lay it out, figure out what equipment we needed. We had to hire other college students and be their boss, like being the same age. So like I learned a lot, right? It was really fun. And it's fun to go back there when I'm in town and be like, oh my God, like there's the stage my dad built, Yeah. Super sweet.
That's cool.
Ask me any questions. Feel free. That's fun. Yeah. So did that for a while. Actually started another coffee shop, and then I was like, I kind of like writing business plans. And then I had this season of life where I was like, all right, everybody, what do you want to create? Like, I'll help you write a business plan. And I started doing that as a side hustle. And then like no one actually like launched their businesses though. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like keep doing this for people who are actually gonna manifest things in the real world. Just a side note. Um, Always trying to make it easier for you guys because I know it's scary. But yeah, so I guess like I had a after the coffee shop phase of my life, I had a stint in ministry. I'll skip that story because I'm talking more about business today, but I had to raise my own money. And so I still kind of, I don't know, it still kind of felt like a side hustle where I had to go convince people to like invest in ministry. Did that for a couple of years, left that and had drained my savings, quite frankly. I had no money. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life because I went to school to be an English teacher, which I find so hilarious right now. So I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do coffee shops anymore. I had drained all my savings and I moved in to my mother's basement. It was like, I mean, I love my mother and I'm very grateful that she let me move in, but it was like kind of like a rock bottom moment for me. And it was one of those moments in life where I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, I guess like I'll just start applying for jobs in the restaurant industry because coffee shop. And so I had an interview with the district manager of Brugger's Bagels. And there's a position to be like a GM. It was $65,000 a year. And that was more money than I had ever made back then. And I was like, I'll take it. And this guy was like, I want to hire you. I feel like you're a little bit overqualified. I'll give you the job, but there's like something in me that makes me feel like there's something better for you out there. And he asked me, he's like, take 2 weeks and just see if anything else comes up. I'll give you the job, but like I just feel like there's something else better for you out there. And I remember being like I just need money. I need insurance. Like I'll be happy doing this. I found it kind of odd that someone else, I don't know, would have that opinion in a job interview. And to be honest, I left that and I was like, cool, got a job. I think it was like a day or two later, I get a LinkedIn message from a guy named Ford. And I'd never met this guy. I had never heard of him. And he just sends a little message. He's like, hey, have you ever heard of Epifio? You sound like us. And I'm like, I sound like you. What's Epifio? Do a little searching, and it's like this really cool startup in Cincinnati. It was an animation studio. And as a matter of fact, they were the first company to ever make animated explainer videos. The first one. Everyone does motion design now. Everyone makes videos, but back then they were it. And it was in Cincinnati of all places. And I was like, holy cow. So I crashed this employee lunch. I meet people, somehow get a job there. I'd never made a video in my life. And, I call the guy at Brugger's Bagels back and I'm like, I think you were right. I took, here I am like working with, freaking like Google and Amazon and like just big companies who back then were like, we need videos. So, am I going too fast? I just have so much to say.
I'm curious, okay. What kind of videos did you make the first, like what was some of your first jobs there at Epifio?
Yeah, I think my first video I ever made was for a bra startup in Israel.
Okay.
It would like look at your body and like customize like your, I don't know, like your cup shape and everything. So I think that was my first one. They gave me kind of a weird startup to see how I did with writing the script and working with the client. And then I remember my first like enterprise, like my big video was with Hertz, like the rental car company.
Uh-huh.
And they loved the concept so much, they bought 3 more videos immediately. And so, and then, I just got to work with like a lot of the bigger brands there.
You would write the script or the concept, and then
I did everything. I mean, back then it was like, a startup that was scaling, right? So like I had to I was the producer, which meant like I'd get on the call and I'd figure out what the story is, and I'd manage the whole project. I would write the script, and then I would work with the animators and the storyboard artists, like the design team to actually make the video, but I ran the project. And yeah, anyway, and then I eventually like just realized while I loved to project manage, I really preferred being a creative director, and eventually like that job changed and became more specialized as the company grew and changed form. But like it was a crazy time. I mean, I'm like in my mid-20s and I'm flying to Google headquarters. I was like at Riot Games, I was at Visa, I was at like, I don't know, probably 15 of the biggest companies in the world. I'm like on site with them, sitting with like high up people helping them tell their stories. And it was a crazy time. I loved it. And I don't want to get in the weeds of like why I left, but I will say, you know, like that was kind of the first time I was working for someone else where I realized like there was a ceiling above my head for being a woman. I'm not just saying that because it's International Women's Day. I actually like had a boss go on a walk with me outside who said, "You have a ceiling over your head here because you're a woman." So verbatim, I was told that. And yeah, anyway, eventually I left. I joined you, Fletcher. We did a startup right after that. Do you want to kind of like break up the conversation and very quickly share what we did together?
Yeah. We were starting a startup that called Urbanist. Basically, it helped you find the neighborhood fit for you based on like your preferences and like wanting to be near certain amenities that a city offers. But part of that was we started in Denver, so we filmed every street of Denver, and like flew drones before it was like, you know, I don't know, big thing. We were like flying drones through, Denver and stuff like that. And we made these videos, one for all of Denver, one for different sections of Denver, one for each neighborhood of Denver. And then we also did like, um, you know, boots on the ground, like go and interview people in each neighborhood. But we hired Nicole to write the scripts for all of those big videos and just work with us and build the creative for that. And that was so fun. Yeah, it was
78
definitely.
neighborhoods that I had never been to. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it
Yeah,
was.
we sprinted. We did so much. It was crazy.
Yeah, those videos you can still find on YouTube if you just search
Yeah,
Urbanist Denver. They're
yeah,
great. They're amazing.
yeah. I watch them sometimes. Yeah, so we did that, and you know, it ended up not getting and having an exit. So we folded that company. It was a Techstars startup though. Like you guys had gone through that program before I joined. But I had fun. It got me out of the place that was holding me down is the point. And I got to be able to like just purely like flex my muscles, go as fast as I wanted to, come up with ideas. It was like the first time I had a true taste of freedom in, I guess, like a more marketing context outside of like coffee, you know? And so it was a lot of fun for me. I ended up after that being like, you know what? I think I'm going to go work for an agency. I like when I was working at the video company, I had like learned that there were there were so many big problems that companies were trying to solve, and I was really limited to a very specific tool to solve them, which was video. And so I wanted to work for an agency, so like anything was possible. We could kind of pitch anything, and we could creatively solve any kind of problem. And so there in Cincinnati, like there's a ton of big agencies there. Procter and Gamble's headquartered there, Kroger, Fifth Third Bank, just some big companies there that it's just like an old agency city. And so I got a job there as a creative director of the Procter and Gamble account, and we were responsible for their digital CRM. There's like 18 million people in their multi-brand CRM platform. And so very much like creative in the weeds, not necessarily like the big commercial ideas, you know, like Super Bowl commercials. We were more like the digital execution. And my goal was to just like be a sponge. I wanted to learn as much as I could about account management and strategy and creative and all the things. It's just, I don't know, just I guess how my brain's wired. It was hard for me though in that job to stay in a lane. I had a very specific role and title. And there were like only specific moments I was pulled into projects. So for me, I've just never been anyone to just like fit well in a box. And yeah, I was there for 2 years, learned a lot. And then Fletcher, you came back and rescued me again, didn't you? You're like, hey, I've been working for this agency in Boulder. I think you guys had just signed that big Twitter contract or something, and wanted to pull me into it. And so that was the moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I feel about freelancing? I'd never considered it for myself. And in full transparency, it was like a terrifying uh, thing to consider, because you were kind of like the only freelancer I knew personally. Now everyone's freelancing. Again, I'm always like, I don't know. I'm 40. I've been a little ahead of the curve on some of these things, but like you had been doing it, what, like you've been freelancing for 18 years or something crazy. Like this has been your life.
Yeah, in my life.
Yeah, it's been your life. And I don't know, I trusted you and wanted to work with you again. And so, and I was realizing I wasn't a very good culture fit in the big agency system. Um, I was, I don't know, asking questions and doing math. And I was just
What?
like,
No.
I know.
Don't
I'm
do
just
that.
like, why are there like 10 people in this meeting to like approve
Yeah.
an email? Like would our client love that we're spending our money this way? Anyway, it was just like, it was just that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
um yeah, so I took the
And
jump to
that
freelancing.
that agency, I mean, obviously everyone was an employee. So was it more of a they just had to put hours on people? So there's like, yeah, just go sit in this meeting. I mean, what was
It was a
the
little bit of both. I
yeah.
mean, it's very common with big agencies to pull people into a room to be billable.
Yeah.
And like my integrity was like that just like killed me. That killed my
Yeah.
soul. I just like I did not ever feel good about that. So yeah, that would happen sometimes. And also like this is my opinion, but I think there's just like a lot of ego at play
Oh yeah.
where or it's not even always ego. Sometimes it's just the process, right? It's like the strategist made a decision, so they want to like be here to make sure the creative copy followed the strategy, and it's just like just not enough maybe trust or
Mhm.
collaboration was also a part of the problem. But either way, I was like feeling really antsy. I was like, oh my gosh, we could do this so much faster
Yeah.
if the teams were restructured this way and everyone was doing the work wasn't like a junior. That's another thing that happens at agencies. Like they hire green talent to do all the work, and then
Yeah.
the creative director's job is to just like give feedback. And so I just didn't feel like I was growing or I was adding my purest form of value, which is okay. I accomplished the job of learning and getting the experience. But anyway, you invited me to leave, and I was like, hell yeah, here I go. And I was lucky. And I just want to say, like, I acknowledge that, especially in today's landscape, like people who enter freelancing, a lot of times they're doing it now because they're getting laid off and they have no other option, right? Or they may not have the experience in the client roster that I had because I had worked at Epifio. So I was very privileged back then in being able to go out on my own. But with that said, I had a contract with the agency that we worked at. They were paying me more money for less time in the week for 6 months, and I was like, that feels like a really good deal. That's going to give me some capacity also on the side to go build my own clients and figure out what's next for me. So it was like, it was so fun. Oh, I loved it. It was weird having to navigate, forming a new LLC and figuring out the insurance, but it's not impossible if you guys haven't done that for yourself. It really is like it's just different. It's not difficult. It's just different. It's a different mindset. You're also like, you don't have a boss. You don't have when you're a freelancer, a company can't tell you exactly when to work or what tools to use to do the job. There's just a lot more autonomy. And there are a lot of people in life who actually like want that structure, and they like want that authority, and they feel like they're kind of designed for the system. I never was. So like I I felt free. But I think self-awareness when you're jumping into freelance, by the way, is just like incredibly important, because it is a very different way of working. Anyway, so gosh, that first year, I zeroed in on that like Twitter and Microsoft project that I had with you. And then I just got as many clients as I possibly can. And I don't recommend this, but I was working like 70 hours a week because I needed to make sure I had something stable. I didn't fully trust that there would be work with this other agency afterwards. And so I just like laser focus built this thing. And in my first year of freelancing, I did $500,000 in revenue. And again, I'm not saying that's like what you should do, because eventually, like spoiler alert, like I got sick. So um, definitely work-life balance is very, very important. But in freelancing is a roller coaster. It just is. Some months or some weeks you are so busy, and then you have nothing, and that's another world that you have to navigate. But anyway, so like I did that for a while. Then I started getting momentum. Like I had clients who were excited to work with me, and they're like, "It's okay that you've never made a website. I trusted you with my story with video, and you're like, I really love your energy and your passion, and I trust that you like Fletcher and you recommend him." Like, so because of that human trust that I had with previous clients, I was able to go kind of sell anything. Again, huge learning curve. I didn't know how to scope that stuff. I didn't know how to even write an SOW with all the accurate assumptions of things I had never done before. Big learning curve. But yeah, we figured it out, and I was able to create this. Go ahead.
Did that get you in trouble a few times? An SOW without proper assumptions?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure there were like hiccups or something, but like I can't even,
Yeah.
yeah, figure out
Not one
like
big story.
a story.
Okay.
No. Um, Mostly I probably just got lucky, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that stuff really matters though. There's the MSAs, like especially when you start working with big companies, it's like way more complex than just writing an SOW and having a client sign it. So having to get like lawyers involved and build out these, contracts and all this stuff. But again, like, you just figure it out as you go. It's really, there's a lot of people I've found who are willing to come alongside you and help. I had people from other agencies get on a call with me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got this $250,000 opportunity. Help me scope it. And they would, and I'd pay them some money, and then we'd win the work. And I think the point is, like, as a freelancer, if you're bold and you have a client that trusts you, it is so possible for you to sell something outside of your scope of work. Um, Now be very self-aware about it and don't overpromise and underdeliver. But like if you have someone who trusts you and you've got a team that you can build around you, you have every opportunity to build an agency. And our business model at Jumpsuit, the agency that I founded, everyone's a 1099. And that was like a vision from the very beginning. I did not want to have employees. I did not want to have the overhead. And it wasn't just to like protect me. Like, it was a business model that I believed in. I saw that the future was independent. I wanted every single freelancer who worked with me to feel like they could go get their own clients or they could build an agency. There was so much like autonomy that I wanted to experience in my own business that I had never had a taste of working as an employee, that I was like so excited to build this model that way. And it's been incredible. And I mean, I'd be willing to do a whole other video on how all of that works. And I created a jaunt board that exposes a lot of that process too. If you guys want access to like how I built my agency, I already have some really good materials on that. So just let me know in the comments. But anyway, so, Jumpsuits in full motion. We're a multi-million-dollar agency. We're working with Amazon and P&G and some really cool startups, and scale is happening. And it hit a ceiling, I guess about a year and a half ago, where I started to feel pressure of like, okay, there's just certain things that are in my head or in Emily's head. Emily's in charge of all of our production. I'm like, there's just no good way to democratize this. And unless I figure out how to get this out of these people's head, um, we're like, the thing that has made us feel like magic is just not going to continue. And so around that time, I reached out to Fletcher and I was like, hey, you have any like ideas? I'm kind of feeling the itch to build something. It'd be really cool if it was something that was like that would like help Jumpsuit, like really like have some synergy there. And he did. And so I'm gonna pull you into the conversation here, Fletcher, in a moment. But yeah, I mean, like, so now, like, I guess where I'm at is like the past year, I had built an agency with 0 employees that can completely run itself. And I am so proud of that. The teams have been amazing. I'm still involved with Jumpsuit a little bit, but I have spent the past year laser focused with Fletcher building technology that is like made to help freelancers or like employees start a side hustle, start their own freelance business, and even have the best shot, I believe, at competing with agencies. Anything that you want to add contextually, Fletcher, before we actually kind of get in the weeds and show them what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, the whole there. Well, I mean, like all the times that you and I have worked together, it was like a 3 sentence exchange. I know the first time it's like, hey, we're doing this thing. It's like, cool, I'll be there. And then you flew out like the next day and we hung out. And then yeah, when I called you for the work with Microsoft um, and Twitter, it's like, hey, this thing, like, sweet, yeah. It was like instant yes. And
Oh,
then
quick.
yeah, you had emailed and like, hey, I have an itch to like build something. And I responded back like, yeah, actually, I'm building something called Jaunt, and it's this XYZ. And you just replied back, yep, I'm in, 100%. And then we just anyway, it's amazing. There's like no preamble or like long conversation or we just know we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. It's been super meaningful to me too. Um, yeah. And I think like that's the benefit of of working with people that you've worked with for years and that you just inherently respect and trust, right? And that's the business model of Jumpsuit. It's like having to have the ability over the past 6 years to pull in my favorite creative directors and my favorite designers and my favorite producers and just say like, you don't have to prove yourselves. Like, I already trust you. Let's go. You're already an expert. Like, we already collaborate really well. There's so much synergy. I mean, we really have proven the model of lean teams of experts who can go super freaking fast. And I actually believe that's what the future is. I think that we're seeing so many people leave Meta and Amazon and these big companies, and they're like getting laid off, or they're feeling like they want to start their own company, an agency, a product, whatever it is. And so many entrepreneurs are and solopreneurs and freelancers are like flooding the workplace right now. And if you've seen me on LinkedIn, I've said this a million times before, by 2027 over 50% of the workforce is going to be independent. And that's a big deal. That's the new majority workforce. And what I love is that there's like, this is the opportunity, and I think about this every day. There's not like a structure to fall into. It's not that like you can't freelance or you can't have your own agency or you can't create your own, like startup. But like there's a whole system that we all come out of. I call it the 9 to 5, like, corporate America, whatever that is. Like, that's existed for a really long time, and there are major, major changes happening. It's accelerating because of AI. And so you've got all these people who are like, I don't know what to fall into right now. I don't know what to do. And then there's like millions of us competing with each other. And it's just a different landscape than 6 years ago when I entered. And it freaking keeps me up at night because I want people, if they have an itch to be entrepreneurial, I want to do everything I possibly can to encourage that and help create some sort of system that can support that. Because I know what it feels like to be in survival mode, and it's terrible. It is scary, it is lonely, and I just, like, I don't know, I want to help as many people not have to feel that, I guess. Not my job, but it's, like, where my heart is. And then on top of that, like, the opportunity that we have to build an entirely new economy, an ecosystem of different types of companies that operate differently, that are conscious, that are collaborative and not competitive. Like, I obsessively, like, vision this all of the time. And so, I mean, I'm really big and lofty right now, and I'm not saying that the product that we're building is the thing for that, although I think it could be a big thing for it, and especially as it gets connected to other things, right? There's a lot of, like, other things in motion, like crypto or whatever, that are really kind of building something new. Um, anyway, that's like the big picture of who I am and what I have been caring about, and all the, like, passion and the pain points that have brought me to where I am today. And yeah, almost right on time with that half hour. So nailed it. Yeah, so, yeah, what I would love to do is just take some time and pull Fletcher into the conversation and show you guys what we're building. We really just launched this product. We've got a really powerful feature coming out in 3 weeks, and, we have not marketed this other than organically, like me showing up on LinkedIn Live yet. So this is, like, early stages of what this
Mhm.
is. And if any of you are thinking about having a side hustle or trying to build an agency, I want you to know about this tool. Ask us any questions if we can help you get onboarded so you can be one of the first using it. We are here for that. Um, Take it away, Fletcher.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, it's such a good way to set it up too, because in so many ways, this would have been a miracle. I mean, this would have been such a miracle to have when you just started. Or I think about that from me back in my career. It's like, man, I wish this product would have existed back then, because it would just give you this like level of confidence, as you move in. And we're not short on confidence, but still, there's something magical about a piece of software that helps support you as a business as you go into that, to make it feel like, yeah, you're on the right track, basically. So those who don't know, this is called Jump Boards. Jump Boards is effectively a way for you to put together what your processes are, how you get things done, like kind of actually encapsulate what your capabilities are, and your offering, so that you can move into potential sales calls with more of like a catalog or menu of what you do really well with proof, and like actually be able to point to things. But it's all in one, and it basically builds itself now. We powered it with AI, and it's incredible how it gets you to 90% finished, and then lets you come in and sort of steer a moving ship, and then finish up what is your company. So what we're looking at is jumpsuits jump board. You also get your own like kind of vanity URL. However, you can also embed this in your own website, so you can put it wherever you want to, but it basically has an overview, who you are, links to your LinkedIn and website, and then this is sort of the catalog of what all you're offering. So obviously, Jumpsuit's more mature as an agency; it's grown, so it has a lot of different categories of work: branding, experience design, production, media marketing, all that good stuff. And each one of those categories has these different offerings. So here we are in branding, and Jumpsuit offers brand guidelines, brand videos, brand refresh. You can see there's also like direct links to case studies to show that work being done. And by the way, all of this is managed in Jump Boards. It's so easy once you get started on this. But let's dive into one of these. We'll look at this brand guidelines. And what you're looking now is the Jump Board format. It's a linear format of different phases that have milestones inside of them. And it just shows a potential client, exactly what it would look like to work with you, right? You have obviously example designs at the top, a little description of that, again, links to case studies. And then you can walk through and talk to them about what exactly the process is to go through this. Your discovery, research, story, visual identity, activation, delivery in this case. And then we even end it with a little CTA. So if they are sort of self browsing, they know how to reach out to you, right? And book a one-on-one or just request a proposal right there. Now, this is all passive, and you could definitely be a voiceover, or you could be sharing your screen. But we love about this is because of that vanity URL or it being embedded in your website. This is about clients kind of discovering who you are, what you do, and what your capabilities are, and getting to know you and build that trust before you even have that first conversation with them. Anything to add to that, Nicole?
Yeah, I guess I would say that a lot of times when a client reaches out and, like, let's say they're trying to find a partner to do a rebrand for them, um, to kind of empathize with clients a little bit, like, they get all sorts of proposals back, and
Mhm.
one proposal might be $5,000, another one might be 50, um, or otherwise, and, like, they don't always know why the discrepancy, and
Yeah,
so to be able to showcase and say, here's all the things that we do to get you to the end of this project, and we're not just like doing the visual identity, we're doing a manifesto and a key
right.
messaging guideline, and we're going to make a video. Like, that really helps a client understand what they're going to get.
Yeah,
And it also puts you in a position where you can make a client feel like they have some levers to pull as you move into a proposal phase. I want to get ahead because I know you're going to share that next, but like, it gives them some feeling of like, okay, well, I would love to work with you, but I don't have the budget for all of this, so maybe we can just kind of, you know we can handle this internally, or we'll say no to this thing to be able to get the job done. It really, like, as in my experience, as much as you want to productize something, at the end of the day, the clients are gonna usually ask for some form of
something
customization.
unique. Yeah.
So this tool makes that conversation super easy.
Yes. Also, you can actually add example links too. So you can give someone an example, like, okay, what is a dashboard goal and KPIs? Well, now you can actually link out so they can see existing work you've done in the past for a client, and then they can know exactly what it looks like, to work with you. Again, it's just really nice. It gets you so close to. It just builds trust, right? Chris Do says clients don't buy the best; they buy the least risky. And so this software is all about building a bridge of trust with your potential clients to show them, hey, I've done this before. I know exactly what I know how to get there, know how to get to the top of this mountain. Not only can you see fantastic work that this process has been powered by, but I'm willing to be fully transparent and show you exactly what we do, how we get there. And then to Nicole's point too, it starts to justify the price point that you're going to give them, right? Because I know on some specific projects, it's like, oh, I was going to have my son, do this for me, and he was going to do it for free, and I was going to give him an iPhone, and you're asking for $15,000. What the heck? And it's like, well, this is this is why there's like a lot more strategy when you're a professional at doing something to make sure it's successful at the end. Cool. So that's looking at it from, again, the client's viewpoint. This is a client experience product, so everything you're seeing has sort of two faces to it. There is a client view, and then there's your team view, right? Your team view is where you set stuff up, you modify and edit, update, and delete stuff, and then the client view is super clean. There's not even any jump board branding, honestly. The whole top is it's just about you. So that's really important to us too, because we want to make sure we have built a tool that you guys are wanting to showcase with your clients, because it makes that experience so much better. So, okay, here we are back in the team page. A few things, we'll get back to this in a second, but basically, if you go to your board browser, you can see a bunch of drafts. This is where you and your team are putting together, it's kind of your workshop for new offerings and capabilities that you're working on before you put them and make them publicly viewable. Here's you know, jumpsuit, and you can see they are working on quite a bit of things, like kind of coming up with new processes and what they're going to look like, which is exciting. And then when you're ready, you move those over to your services like you saw before. And all of this is totally customizable. You can rename these different groups, different categories, rearrange them, all that good stuff. So it's really up to how your business is structured, how you want to show that. You can also just do a flat offering. You don't have to have categories at all. You can just be like, hey, here's my 4 services I offer, and it's just one nice, clean landing page for people. But let's look at one of these again. Let's go back into experience design, and we'll go into this digital product design, one of my favorites. And then we can take this template, this jump board, and let's turn it into a proposal. So this is that part of the conversation where maybe they're interested, but you're wanting to start to customize it, like Nicole said, which happens on every single project. So let's do one real quick for Tesla, and we'll do a yeah, I don't know, a new product, whatever it is, and we'll hit create. So what it's doing is it's taking this template, it's duplicating it. It's gonna, you'll see here in a second, it's gonna actually put it in a new format that's really good for sharing with clients to actually win work even when you're not in the room. Let me pull up real quick a slide as well. I want to show you how you can put those in there. All right, so we have ourselves this, new product, whatever it is. This, we're gonna pitch this. It's a proposal for Tesla, and we can go in and we can have a conversation with a client and go through slowly and say, hey, this is the process we recommend to get to success, right? However, we know that there's usually budgetary or time restrictions, so we can't always do exactly what we want to do. So let's work through it together and figure out and customize this to fit your needs directly. So you'll walk through this and you'll be like, okay, brand guidelines and assets. That's actually going to be client provided, right? And then an analytics report. You know what? We don't have the budget for that this time, so we're going to skip that. I'm going to pause there for a second. This is a wonderful feature. Instead of deleting the step entirely from your process, actually just marking it as skipped is a nice passive way to always remind the client that you had the best process in mind when you went to pitch it, and they needed to, for certain reasons, skip or take shortcuts. It lets you sort of, without having to point fingers, if things go off the rails, you can be like a reminder of like, hey, this was the intent. This is what we should have done, and we decided to go this other way because that's what you wanted. And so it's very possible things will go off, but it's not exactly entirely my fault, if that makes sense. And again, it's not about pointing blame. I just wanted to remind you, it's like it becomes more crystal clear, especially, and I mean, how many of you have had like the project manager on the client side change halfway through a project? I mean, like, I feel like that's like the common thing now. You're 2 months in and the product lead like changes, they leave, and then someone else comes in and they have no recollection or understanding of what decisions were made when. And Jomp keeps track of all of that for you, which is awesome. You can also add in a proposal deck just by grabbing that share link, and it embeds talk track. So now when you share this URL with your client, it is the voiceover in the room when you're not there, right? You can actually show them exactly what you talked about last, and then this ends up converting to become your SOW that you can sign, that they can sign and actually reflect the work that was promised. Pause there for a second. Nicole, anything you'd add to this proposal side?
No, not at the moment.
Cool. So let's say that we're good to go and Tesla is interested in buying this.
Wait, I lied.
Okay.
There's one thing.
Yeah.
We didn't show them the auto generate with AI. And I think I would have loved this feature back when I was starting, because what that little rocket ship button would enable you to do is let's show them actually, like, say, add estimated timeline and budgets to each milestone. Assume a $100,000 budget. What is going to happen right now? And you may manually change some things. You may not agree with what AI is recommending, but man, just to give you a starting point. So what's going to happen when he hits modify is Jomp is going to look at every single milestone. It's going to know it has $100,000 to spend, and it's going to give you give your client and your team an overview of how it recommends spending your timeline and your budget per step. So again, always apply the human wisdom and nuance, but for people just starting out or trying to sell something they've never sold before, it's a really, really good place to begin.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this too. You can like say, hey, add in a new phase for a workshop because they want me to do a live workshop, and have it have 5 milestones, and it'll just put in right after discovery that specific milestone or that specific phase, and then it's so nice to kind of start there versus having to start from zero basically, which is really nice.
Did it not work?
I'm not sure. Sometimes it takes a second to load in. But yeah, it's nice to not only, and you'll see it in a bit, but you can not only just create and generate jump boards from scratch, but you can also go in and use this modifier to kind of help steer that moving ship as you go. Oh yeah, it didn't take.
Okay, found a bug. It usually works. No, it's really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. So let's go in and let's start this project. And what it's going to do is going to pull off that the slideshow that's at the top. It's going to remove any of those example deliverables that were in there. So now we're at a kind of a blank slate. And then we transition our statuses from, just that client provided skip to not started. You can switch to in progress, completed, approved, skip, locked, optional, add-on. So all that stuff brings over. And now you get started on the work itself, and you actually go through, say it's in progress. And also, by the way, this URL has stayed the same throughout this entire process. So when you share that once with a client, they will get to visit that same URL and see the progress built against the project throughout the life cycle of it. So we're going to go through, we'll make this in progress, go to completed, and then we can upload our deliverables. That can be either just a file or a link that you bring in. And you'll just sort of work your way through this. And this is where your clients will find where you've been, where you're at, where you're going, where all your stuff is. And it becomes a consistent place for them and any stakeholders to come and visit and just kind of peek in on the progress against the project. I mean, again, how many times have we been stopped 2 months in because we need to put together some sort of pitch deck for their vice president that's over them to show them, progress that's been made against this leg of work. And this becomes that utility, right? That's like passively able to keep everyone up to date, which is so nice. You don't have to stop work anymore, and you can continue doing work toward the end goal of this project.
Yeah. To that, I would add, it was like 4 or 5 years in, and we're like, how are we running these big projects at Jumpsuit without a project management tool? We were not using Asana or Monday or anything. And what we found is because we were lean teams of people who had done this kind of work over and over again, we really just needed something kind of high level. And so not to say that you couldn't like link Monday into this or Jira, you totally can. But again, for teams that are like supercharged and fast, this is kind of all you need. And so our teams have been loving this. Also, like when we pull in, I don't know, a graphic designer mid-flight, and we just like we're always trying to make someone feel like they're a part of the team and the project, and it's not like we're not like this transactional company. And so for them to come in like mid-project and be able to have access to the strategy and like see the progression of work has really made our team feel a part of the big picture, and to see it actually get completed and see what happened after they kind of plugged in and plugged out. And the other thing I'll say is like the project management time saved, just having to answer clients' questions of like, hey, can you resend me that one strategy deck from like 3 months ago? I can't find it in my email. It's just like all right here. It's amazing.
Yep. And then Holly asked if there's a change in scope and the client's already signed an initial agreement. How does that work? So obviously, building out an addition to your SOW, but then in the product itself, you just go in, you say edit milestones, and then you add in a new step, and you can actually classify that as an add-on, so that they just visually see again like what changes have been made. But everything is editable at any point to make this job board specific to the needs that's happening with your client. Awesome. Yep. So let's say that we are happy with how everything's going. At the end of the project, there's also something called proof of work, and that's usually the link you send, or the email that has like a bunch of scrambled together links to each deliverable that matched up with SOW. That's not needed anymore. This becomes the proof of work, and so you can get that last check. And then what we love as well is instead of just archiving that, you can complete and create a case study. So if you click that, basically it'll turn it into a case study. I'll just show you one that's already been built out. Essentially, it's that same process, except that you're able to go between them being hidden or visible to clients. So you get back this nice little logo lockup at the top. You can put in the final deliverable, little description of what that project looked like, and then it has that same process with all the assets that went into each one of those milestones. And then you kind of choose if they're visible or hidden, if there is like proprietary steps that you don't want to just share publicly. And on that public view is just a nice, clean overview of the work you did with that client and what that final deliverable is. So you can see with literally a click of a button, because everything's tracked here, you are creating and generating really like story-driven case studies. And that all ladders back to those original cards. If you saw at the beginning, we had these, this case study. So as soon as you take this brand guidelines template, put it into an active project, and then convert to a case study, it automatically brings back that logo and puts it right on the card. So if you are embedding this in your website, you'll, people will automatically start to see more and more social proof of these competencies, being accomplished, and links to those case studies to prove it.
Yeah, the last thing I'll add is you'll see at the top of a case study, there's always a link back to your public view. So
Yep.
what's cool is like the old ways, in this case, maybe your client's showing off the website or the video, and they may or may not mention you internally as they're showcasing the work.
Right.
But you hope that they do because maybe there's someone else in the room who wants to hire you for something. So giving them something so valuable like this to really showcase the project, you see up there jumpsuit services. So at any point in time, someone can click that button and see all of the things that you do.
Hmm.
And that's pretty common too. Like we have a lot of clients who come to us for one thing. I need branding or I need a video. And we skipped the process of showing them all of our capabilities. So this is just a nice organic way to be top of mind for all of the services that we provide.
Yep. Um, Awesome. So that's really kind of showing it end to end, how you can take your competencies, what you know how to do, turn them into services, package them in a way that people are interested, can browse them, engage you, build out a proposal using job boards, put that into an active project that maintains that 30,000-foot view, that what you promise is what you're delivering on, and then turn it all the way into a case study that in turn actually builds up and makes that sales process even easier. But what we want to talk about for a second too, we looked at that like modify with AI. But what we realized when we launched this is that people, other than those who have been freelancing for a long time, they don't really know what their process is. A lot of times they just refer to it as magic. They're like, I don't know how it happens, but if you pay me enough money, I'll do something good for you. And here's some examples of work I've done in the past. But as you mature through your process and your career, you'll realize, oh, it's not just like a prayer that like gets this thing done. It's like, oh, I actually do things in phases. And so what we wanted to do is offer a way for you to instantly um, get a best in class process that you can then add your magic to. So if I did something like mobile app design, let's say that's something you're interested in or have done in the past, but you don't really know exactly what that process looks like. You can generate a job board using AI, and then from there, add in your specific magic that makes you unique. So I'm going to let this run, and then we'll look at just what it provides you at a baseline.
Yeah, and to that, I would add, this is where the opportunity to really present as an agency comes into play, right? Because maybe you've just done UX UI for your
Yeah.
whole career, and like there's research and strategy phase that comes before you, and then there's development that comes after you,
Hmm.
and lots of stuff in between. And so to be able to go to job boards and have it create a process so that you could put yourself out there and pull in other people that you've worked with before, like how to get a job done with people. You're not making stuff up. But to provide a framework so you could actually go confidently sell the whole thing and not leave money on the table
Hmm.
and make a margin off of your collaborators. Now we're talking about the ability to scale yourself.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you can actually see here too. I mean, it shocked us. Again, we always intended like, okay, let's help it get you like 80% there. But when we started building these and improving the AI engine that was building these out, we were shocked at how good of a start this really is. There's absolutely things that we end up going in and altering and changing and updating just to make, as we've done it so many times, there's definitely things it's omitting. But for people who are just starting with freelancing, being able to like and actually I even recommend, like, if you're on a call and a client's asking you for something that's not quite, you've never documented in the past but is like kind of in your wheelhouse, you can like in 20 seconds just write what the thing is, build a job board, and then share your screen and be like, hey, this is how I'd go about doing it. It really gives you a confidence boost to show like, hey, this is the way we're going to tackle this big problem. So from there, obviously you can turn this into a proposal, but what we're working on right now, what Nicole was kind of hinting at, is the ability to actually auto generate these deliverables as well. So at the current moment, you can start the project, and then when you're in there, you can add in your files or links to the different deliverables as you work through them. But we've noticed, especially with some of this research or strategy, and actually a lot of the processes, you can definitely have AI do a first pass at those deliverables. So we've actually been testing this for the last month, and we've been very impressed with the results. This is a landscape analysis and content roadmap that we put together purely with AI. Again, the intent isn't so much that we deliver these as a final deliverable, but that it gives you this baseline to pull from and actually, continue to craft and sharpen. So you can see here, it goes through, it defines a competitor set. I'll open some of these deliverables so you can see them. All right, so in this case, it is defining our competitor set. It puts together about 10 different competitors in that space and puts together an evaluation criteria. We're also having it build out citations so that we can catch hallucinations earlier on with AI. But again, the intent is that this is just a nice starting point that you can build off of from there. And if you don't like it, again, it actually generates this in a editable Google Doc. And so if you don't like that, PayPal is the first one here. You can override that with whatever you want to, and that's, obviously that's saved. And what happens then is if you go to the next one and say, hey, generate this this AI deliverable, it looks at the entire process and any previously uploaded deliverables and then continues to iterate off of that. So you can see this competitor research took that initial list and then put together research on each one of these competitors, which is just so incredible. So again, if you go back and make a change, you can regenerate deliverables and it'll reprocess those with whatever edits you've made and overrides you've made. Or if that sometimes you haven't, it can't actually deliver, you can just upload that PDF or a link to your own thing and then move on. And then you can continue to do AI deliverables and it'll ingest whatever you've uploaded and continue to build those AI deliverables. So here's a SWOT analysis. This one I really like. I think it's interesting as it put together strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for each of these competitors as well. And I'll skip ahead a little bit. It puts together, it identifies opportunities, it did recommendations, and then we had to do a content strategy and a content calendar. So this actually put together, what channel we should post, what topic, under what theme, what the topic type is, and then throughout the year, starting in March, when we should be posting these items. So again, it did all of this in about 20 minutes. And I'm saying everything, like we actually had it create the landscape analysis and content roadmap process, and then had it jump boards actually create each of the milestone deliverables as well without any human intervention. And it's incredible what it's going to allow you to do as you take that new baseline and then add your professionalism to each one of those.
Yeah, I love that. It's like it really is like the perfect foundation for strategists and creative people to come in and manipulate. And right now, when we go live in a few weeks, right now we're gonna have access to like the Google Suite, right? So you see, we're looking at docs and sheets and stuff like that. As new AI gets rolled out, Fletcher, do you want to talk about how we'll be able to pull in other types of AI and what that looks
Yeah,
like?
yeah. So it's definitely like there's a lot of noise out there as far as what tools to use for what specific thing. So we are doing what's nice about Jump Boards is it becomes your one-stop shop. So as you build out your processes and kind of break those into these sub milestones, you can actually go in when you say, hey, add a AI deliverable. You'll have a selection of what kind of output document you want, and you'll be able to, at the moment, you'll be able to select between a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. But soon to come will be Google Slides, images, obviously videos. Yeah, we're going to continue to curate like the existing ecosystem out there and find the best, most professional version of whatever the deliverable is, and then that'll just get added to the list. So you'll be able to select what type of output you want from that list in one place.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And we're kind of at time. So there's, some other things that we could say, like we're figuring out how to plug in the independent network to this, right? So if you're
Yep.
working for something and you actually don't have the experience doing storyboards and you don't love what AI did, or you don't want to hire AI to do storyboards, you want to work with a human and give that work to a human, it's going to make recommendations for who that could be within your network. So really, really cool problems we're trying to solve to where we can empower all of us in the current jobs that we have to add way more value to our clients, saving them time, money, really demonstrating where humans are needed. We're not building this to replace ourselves. We're building this to empower ourselves and then to be able to pull in other
Yep.
people and give them work. I cannot be more clear on that.
I totally agree, Nicole. And we even, I mean, we met and talked about like, is AI replacing people? What's it? We just sort of had a roundtable discussion and realized like, no, AI is really here to shore up our weaknesses, but never to achieve our proficiencies that we have as professionals and humans. And not to get to the quantum level, but the future and the opportunities that you build are really aren't a result of just analytics and doing the most predictable outcome. It is about us being human and creative and kind of creating something brand new. And I just don't see AI being able to make that kind of leap. And so it's really here to strengthen our offerings that we give.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I'll drop a link into this chat if you guys want to like click around on one of these AI generated jaunt boards so you can just see what its base level is. You can play around with that. So I'll do one and it pulled in some storyboards too. We'll send that A24 example, Fletcher.
Awesome.
Anyway, I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you so much for hopping on. Please sign up, use the tool. Everything that you saw today is free. Which is amazing. You'll have to pay some money when AI starts making deliverables for you. But yeah, if we can help you guys get onboarded, ramp up, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is going to be a really, really fun way for all of us to build our businesses and stay connected. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.